So, you're a leader, and you know you've heard a million times that innovation is absolutely crucial. But here's the real question, right? How do you actually do it? How do you go from just wanting innovation to actually getting it consistently? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down in this guide. So let's dive in. We have this image of innovation, right? It's like a lightning strike, this one-off moment of genius from a lone visionary. But honestly, that's a total myth. The real job of a leader, it isn't to be the one genius with all the ideas. It's to be the architect, the person who builds an environment where great ideas can emerge from anywhere and actually have a chance to thrive. And that right there is the big question we're tackling today. It's not about passively waiting for that perfect idea to fall from the sky. It's about actively building the culture, the systems, the whole machine that produces them. So I'll ask you straight up, are you? All right, so here's our game plan. We've got 4 parts. First, we're going to reframe how you think about innovation as a system you can actually manage. Then we'll get into the foundational blueprint for that system. After that, we'll look at the specific behaviors you need to be modeling as a leader. And finally, we'll wrap up with one simple, powerful action you can take, like today. Okay, let's kick things off with a huge mindset shift. Innovation isn't magic. It's not some random event that you just have to hope for. It's a system. And the great thing about systems, they can be designed, they can be built, and they can be managed. And this is so important. Your number one job as an innovative leader isn't to have all the answers. It's to be an enabler. It's about creating the right conditions, the right processes, the right culture, the right safety net that unleashes the creative potential that's already sitting there in your entire team. Okay, so if your job is to create the conditions, the next logical question is how? How do you actually build that foundation? And that's what this next section is all about. Think of it as the actual blueprint for an organization that's built to churn out bold ideas. This blueprint is built on 3 core pillars. Super simple. First, aspire. This is about setting goals that are actually ambitious and inspiring. Second, you gotta build. This means creating reliable systems to capture and develop ideas. And third, you have to cultivate a culture that actually empowers people to step up and think differently. All right, let's zoom in on that aspire pillar for a sec. Think about it. A vague goal like, hey, we need a new product is kind of boring, right? It doesn't really get the creative juices flowing. But what about something like, let's cut our customer onboarding time in half? Whoa, now that is a real challenge. It gives your team a clear, exciting puzzle to solve. Okay, next up is build. Because great ideas without a system, they just disappear. You need reliable, predictable systems. This means people know where to bring their ideas. They understand how those ideas will be judged. And there's a transparent process, so they know what happens next. Because, seriously, nothing kills creativity faster than pitching an idea and having it just vanish into a black hole. And that leads us perfectly into cultivate, which is maybe the most important piece of this whole puzzle. The absolute bedrock of an innovative culture is something called psychological safety. What does that mean? It's the deep down belief that you can speak up, you can pitch a wild idea, ask a so-called dumb question, or even admit you messed up, and you won't get punished or humiliated for it. Without that feeling of safety, forget it. Your team will always play it safe. All right, so we've got the blueprint. We know what the foundation looks like. But a blueprint is just a piece of paper, right? It's useless without action. And this is where you come in. It's not enough to just talk about innovation. You have to personally model the behaviors that make this whole system come to life every single day. So to make this super practical and easy to remember, we've got the CREATE framework. It's a simple acronym that breaks down the 6 essential behaviors you need to be demonstrating to turn that blueprint into a living, breathing reality in your organization. First up, C is for staying connected to your customers. I mean, this is non-negotiable. You just can't innovate in a vacuum, guessing what people want. The best, most powerful ideas solve real problems for real people. And the only way to find those problems is to get out there and get that raw, unfiltered insight directly from the source. And look, this means getting away from your spreadsheets and formal reports for a bit. Actually block time in your calendar just to talk to customers with no agenda. Get your senior team to spend a few hours every quarter on the customer support lines. It's a game changer. Ditch the boring multiple choice surveys and just ask open-ended questions. That's where the real gold is. Okay, next is R, and it stands for being the role model. And trust me, your team is always watching you. So, what happens when a new project or an experiment fails? How do you react? Is it a crisis? Or is it a, well, what did we learn moment? Your reaction in that moment sends a massive signal to everyone about whether it's actually safe to take risks around here. The first E in our framework is for keeping your strategy evolving. Check out this great example from Olam Food Ingredients. They process coffee, and for years, they saw the coffee husks as just waste, something to get rid of. But then they took a step back, they evolved their thinking, and discovered they could turn that waste into a new ingredient for beverages. Boom, a cost just became a brand new revenue stream. That's strategic evolution. All right, A is for being audacious. Look, small, steady improvements are good. They're important, but the real game changers, they come from thinking big. Think about Ron Shaich. He had a cookie store, Aubonpain, and it was dead empty in the mornings. The easy move would have been to just add muffins, right? But he asked a much bigger, more audacious question. What if we became something totally different? And with that one question, he basically invented the entire fast casual restaurant category. Now we're at T, which reminds us to think 360 degrees about innovation. It's so easy to get obsessed with just the product, but the truth is innovation can happen anywhere in your business. Your finances, your operations, even how you recruit people. I mean, think about it. General Motors blew past Ford not by building a better car necessarily, but by inventing a new way for people to buy a car with financing. Or look at Princess Cruises. They used simple wearable tech to completely get rid of waiting in lines on their ships. That's an operational innovation that totally changes the customer experience. So a good question to ask yourself is, what's that one clunky, frustrating process in my business that everyone just accepts? Because that's probably where a huge opportunity is hiding. And that brings us to our final E, which is to enable your team. And I love this metaphor. Think of yourself as a film director. Your job is not to be the star actor, the lighting guy, and the sound engineer all at once. No. Your job is to find an amazing, diverse cast of talent, give them a powerful vision of the movie you're making together, and then get the heck out of their way, while clearing every single obstacle that might stop them from doing their best work. Okay, we've covered a lot. We've talked about the system, the foundation, and all those leadership behaviors. But information is useless unless you do something with it. So let's get to the most important part. How do you put this into practice? Like, right now. Here's the secret. Don't try to do all of this at once. That's a recipe for getting overwhelmed and doing nothing. Instead, just pick one. Seriously, just one single behavior from that Create framework that you're going to intentionally focus on this week. Maybe it's blocking out 30 minutes to talk to a customer, or maybe it's just deciding you're going to ask one audacious what-if question in your next team meeting. That's it, just one thing. And the reason this works is because innovation isn't some big, flashy event. It's not a workshop you attend once a year. It's a practice. It's like going to the gym. You don't get strong from one workout. You get strong by showing up consistently. It's a muscle you have to build. The leaders who really succeed at this are the ones who just show up day after day and consistently make a little bit of space for new ideas to grow. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Your organization's next big breakthrough, it's probably not going to come from you. It's already out there, waiting in the mind of someone on your team. The only real question is, what are you going to do this week to create the conditions that allow that idea to finally see the light of day?